Good afternoon, board member Taylor. Are you able to hear us okay?
I can, yep.
Fantastic. I can hear you as well. Good.
Good. You can see me okay too?
Yep, everything's working. And we're going to go ahead and start now.
Recording in progress.
So welcome back. We're going to call this regular session of the governing board to session. I'll first make a little mention. We decided to have this meeting more in a hybrid level because I got sick last week and I tested positive for COVID. And so I'm trying to stay home to keep everybody from being exposed to those nasty germs. It's been an easy sickness for me. I haven't been unsafe or unwell. So since I was absent, another one of our board members is out of town in a prior commitment that was before he was appointed to the board. And then a few of the other board members needed to be at home for their own personal reasons. So we figured this would be the best way of still seeing everyone and talking about the great things going on at the college, but we'd keep everybody safe. And so thank you for joining us. Are we able to put a flag up as the presentation? Okay, so if everybody would join me standing, please, and we'll say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Vice Chair Dr. Wade McLean, are you here?
I'm here.
Great, thank you. Greg Taylor.
Here.
Luis Gonzalez.
Here.
And Maria Garcia. Okay, I don't see Maria on. Well, maybe I have another screen actually.
Maria has not joined.
Okay. She will be here soon, I'm sure. So we have a quorum. Moving on to our section 1.4, public comment call to the audience. And I have a list of 5 people who have registered in advance. Thank you for doing that. Our first speaker is Ten Dunn. I see your picture, 10. Thank you. Ten, you have the floor. You have 3 minutes.
My name is Ten Dunn. I'm an adjunct. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead. Thank you. We can hear you now.
Okay. Good evening, Chairwoman Real, board members. My name is Ten Dunn. I'm an adjunct instructor here at Pima. I'm a single dad, first generation college graduate who moved to Tucson 2 years ago. And I love working at Pima. My students are wise, fascinating, fun, working class people. I don't want to do anything else. Teaching is so fulfilling and joyous a job for me. But that's why it's so disappointing when I get my paycheck from Pima. And for 2 classes this semester, I receive $468 every 2 weeks. It's always a shock. My mom, who's barely getting by, bought me food last month because I couldn't afford groceries. I went several weeks without my medication because I couldn't pay for it. There's a lack of transparency about the budget at Pima. We notice the major construction projects and then are told there's no money to pay us. We see the other employee groups get automatic raises via the class and comp schedule, then are told we have to jump through hoops for 3 years to make a measly $45 per credit hour, which frankly is an insult. No other employee group has a grueling tier system for an insignificant pay increase. We're told that we have a seat at the table, but in meetings supposedly geared toward us, admin do all the talking. The AERC controls the narrative about what faculty want and need. We need a space where conversations don't get shut down. We desperately need our own union. Incremental changes and $10 classes for our family members are nice, but they're not enough when we're hungry. That tier system was supposed to give us health benefits and failed. It seems every attempt at substantial changes for adjunct faculty at Pima failed. I recently attended a meeting where adjunct faculty were invited to encourage us to apply for a seat on a committee. When the dean was asked how much we would be paid, a legitimate concern, his reply was, and I quote, "Well, it won't be enough to buy you a shiny new bike." It's $300, by the way, for a semester's worth of work and other duties not assigned. This speaks to a wider culture at Pima where administration don't have the same concerns we do. When a dean who makes over $100,000 a year and can afford food makes a joke at our expense at a meeting where we are specifically invited, it sends a message. Adjunct faculty are not valued. Admin are clueless about what it takes to make poverty wages to be an adjunct in this time and this place. Adjuncts are a diverse collective representative of Tucson. We're the local talent that you're looking for, and we're already invested in the college and our students. I'm asking the board to please recognize an independent adjunct faculty union. We just want dignity and respect so we can feed our families and take pride in doing what we love, teaching at Pima. Thank you.
Thank you. Excuse me. Thank you, Ten. And I'd also like to say thanks to you and to all the adjunct faculty for doing the amazing job you do with the students at Pima College. We are proud of our adjunct faculty. So thank you for your message to the board today. We appreciate that. Our next call to the audience is Michaela Hayes.
Hello, good evening, board members, chancellor, colleagues, and guests. My name is Michaela Hayes, math faculty, PCCEA president, and AERC co-chair. First, I would like to thank the board for your thoughtful questions throughout recent meetings. I, along with several other faculty members, appreciate your intentional consideration of the proposals brought forward. The suggestion last study session by Mr. Taylor to allow strategy to guide budget development was wonderful, and we appreciate your focus on the mission and vision of PCC. The budget is probably one of the most impactful decisions this board makes. I appreciate the administration coming to you with a longer look at budget planning to ensure there will be money for continued recognition of years of service and sustained pay increases. I would also like to encourage the board to find ways to direct more funding toward the faculty line of our budget, ultimately supporting the mission of the college and benefiting all employees. We have divisions at the college struggling to staff courses because they don't have the faculty to meet student demands. I heard about one area this week that had 80 students who wanted to enroll, but the department had no faculty to teach the courses. Another area scrambled to staff classes at the last minute this past fall because they had more students than available faculty. We have some faculty teaching a max overload or more, while the adjunct faculty in the area are staffed at max or above their cap just to keep the program running. These arrangements can only go for so long before faculty reach burnout and can't sustain their load. The reason for these situations is we have a funding model for the total number of full-time faculty tied to an overall college-wide FTSE and faculty ratio. I understand there will be a funding process coming up for the 24-25 year that looks at data and enrollment to determine which areas should hire more full-time faculty. This is crucial, and I thank the administration for reinstating that process. However, if there's not more money in the overall college budget dedicated for the full-time faculty line, there won't be the resources needed to hire in all the divisions that have the potential for enrollment growth if they just had the faculty to support it. As a college, we need to appropriately fund the areas that are working hard to ensure that classes are offered by qualified, passionate faculty who are not burnt out by the intensity of working above and beyond a full-time job for a sustained amount of time. I am proud of our faculty force here at PCC, both full-time and adjunct. We work hard to enrich and ensure rich experiences for our students. but passion and heartfelt effort can only sustain people for so long when they're under-resourced. Please keep in mind, enrollment increases in any area would benefit all areas, because when college footsie increases, we expand our spending power both with expenditure limitations and tuition revenue. This is why faculty are glad to know you're interested in hearing how the strategic model is driving the budget, and I hope this board will consider directing more funds to the faculty line, which has experienced the largest decrease of all employee groups since 2014. Imagine what a well-funded faculty body could do for the enrollment of the institution, the innovation within the classroom, our completion and transfer rates, and the larger impact in our community. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Makayla. We really appreciate you and all full-time faculty too. Without adjunct faculty and without full-time faculty, we wouldn't be able to reach the students that we are. So thank you, and share that with other members in your faculty group. Thank you. Our next speaker is Denise Riley.
Hello, I want to, I think I'm in here twice. Hi, my name is Denise Riley, and I just want to be clear that I'm speaking on behalf of myself as a full-time faculty member and not as the Board of Governing Rep. I will be speaking later on behalf of that. So now you can start the 3-minute timer. I am here this evening. My name is Denise Riley, and I've served in many roles at the college over the last 14 years. And I've been on the instruction side, and I've been on the student affairs side. And I want to express my gratitude, which I did not last week and I regretted. I wanted to express my gratitude to Dr. David Doré. The reason why is because, number one, he's a mover and a shaker. And I can tell you that in several meetings, and they haven't always been pleasant ones, in several meetings, we've had to talk about certain things that I had brought up in the past and hadn't been resolved. And David listened. He listened, he followed up, and he worked together with myself and other faculty to come up with solutions to these things. And I think that that's just, he moves the needle forward, and it's really appreciated. The second thing is he's engaged with students and student success. I would always see him walking around campuses, smiling, greeting students, showing them to classes, saying hello when it was busy, finding anyone that he could reach if the student needed to talk to an advisor, someone in financial aid. You could always see him with a smile on his face, and he's the only person whose office I walked by and would just walk by to wave and say hello, just as a hi. And the reason why is he got to know the students at the campus. He wasn't removed. He wasn't in an office by himself, always in meetings, and never engaged. And that really, really makes a difference. The third reason that I think about is he observed me teaching. So he spent a whole hour in my classroom. I was impressed. And middle of the classroom, he was treated just like a student. I didn't roll out the red carpet. I made him fill out a name tag. And middle of the classroom, I thought I should probably introduce him. He's a guy in a suit in the corner. And he'd been working with the other students, discussing the questions being asked, modeling, great, asking, trying to be engaged with the students. And then he stood up and gave me a recognition pin for my 5 years of service with Phi Theta Kappa. So what a thoughtful person to just think, I'm going to observe her and I'm going to give her some recognition and then publicly recognize. And I can tell you that just what a significant difference that makes in knowing that those at the high level making these very important decisions are in tune with the students, with the faculty. They know what's going on because they're out there in what I consider the trenches of teaching. And I didn't do this last week, and I realized as other people spoke at his going away party that I actually had the privilege of getting to know him very well in different circles. And I can tell you, he got to know me as a faculty member, he got to know others. And I just want to say that in future hires, and I'm expressing this to our current administration, I'm expressing this to the board members, in future hires, as we continue to continually reorganize administration and roles of the college, I would like you to consider making great hires like David, ones that are movers and shakers, ones that are engaged with students and engaged in their success and work together with faculty to come up with solutions, and ones that are thoughtful and kind and go into the classrooms to visit. And I just wanted to express my gratitude for your years of service, David. And this was me in a public comment saying, thank you so very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Denise. That is so nice. we know Pima is such an amazing place, and when we can reach out and lift up our fellow colleagues and share with the world the amazing things they've done, that's just so special. So thank you to you, Denise, and also Dr. David DeRay. We're going to definitely miss you, and thank you so much. Okay, next on our list for a speaker to call to the audience is Scott Sawyer. Is Scott here? Yes, he is. Scott, when you get ready, you have 3 minutes.
I'm not able to see, so I can put my camera on, but I'm not given that option. So I'll go ahead and start. Board members, Chancellor, my name's Scott Sawyer, and I'm here speaking as a full-time faculty physics instructor. And I just want to say what I do as a full-time faculty. As a role as an instructor, I have 2 broad groups of students that I have in my classes. One group is mostly made up of engineers, and a few of those are also scientists and future academics. And the other group is healthcare professionals, so doctors, veterinarians, dentists, and that makes up the majority of the students which I teach. All of those students are going on as transfer students. They require a 4-year university to achieve their goals in their educational journey. The things that I do outside of teaching, one, I've become involved in what we call the Tucson area physics teachers. And it's a group of physics teachers. The bulk of the members currently are Pima College physics teachers, but we also have a couple teachers from the University of Arizona. We have several physics teachers that teach in high schools, and it's open to anyone. We even have a University of Arizona math teacher who wishes he was a physics teacher. And so we meet monthly and we discuss things about physics teaching, articles we've read. Last month, we had a member give a laboratory demonstration that we give to our Pima College students, and we discuss how we can improve things. And in addition to that, I also am a mentor for Pima College students who are transferring to the University of Arizona in STEM fields. And these students are much like I was. I was a community college student who was interested in science, and I transferred to a university. I did not have the guidance that this group of students who have gotten into this grant, which I am only a part of as a mentor. But it's been a wonderful thing for those students to allow me to engage with them and share what I had gone through in a situation similar to what they had done. And then lastly, I just want to talk about my own professional development that I am allowed to have as a full-time faculty. So the college invests a small amount of money into full-time faculty to use for professional development. And I've taken advantage of this, and that has actually led me to enroll in a 18-month new faculty development series that is funded from the NSF. And so this is now training that I'm getting to improve my teaching skills. The college is not paying for because they made a minor investment and encouraged me to engage in professional development, and it has just leapfrogged into more and more. And so I just want to say, as a full-time faculty, I'm able to connect with my students who will be transfer students. I'm able to connect with the greater Tucson area and those who are interested in teaching physics or who do teach physics. I'm able to support our own students, and I'm able to become a better instructor. None of those things I would be able to do if I was not in a full-time position. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Scott. That was lovely to hear. And we're always proud when we hear all the amazing things our employees at the college do. So thank you for representing Pima in such an amazing way and all the things that you do. Our last speaker for Call the Audience is Karen Rubenstein. Is Karen here? Okay, she is. You need to, yeah, there you go.
I unmuted. Can you hear me now?
We can now, thank you.
Hi, everybody. I'm Karen Rubenstein. I am full-time faculty in the psychology department. And I just wanted to update you on the kind of things that we do in our department. We have about 12 courses college-wide and teach about 200 sections of psychology courses across a year term. Most of my students, I'd say the majority, go on to 4-year schools. And I want to give you just a little slice of what I'm doing right this week and next week in my class. My goal for my students is to create a sense of belonging and give them some passion and excitement and enthusiasm for the topics that we're covering. So this week we're talking about learning, and I use classical conditioning with lemons from my tree. I have zillions of lemons. And so I classically conditioned my students to salivate every time they heard the word Pavlov, because Ivan Pavlov discovered classical conditioning. Tomorrow we're doing operant conditioning, and they are going to do a project which will require them to try to figure out how to change one of their behaviors using rewards rather than punishment, which is always a better way to learn. Next week, we're doing memory. And so I have a stooge who comes in on Tuesday and makes a big scene and then leaves. And on Thursday, I ask them to describe the person who came into the class. And it's always pretty hilarious because there are always dozens and dozens of different descriptions. And it illustrates the fallibility of eyewitness testimony, which is extremely unreliable. And they're all surprised by that. We also play Jeopardy every other week or every 3 weeks or so. And I divide the students into groups, and they discuss, they have to play Jeopardy based on the material that we learned that week. It's kind of a review before the quiz they have to take every weekend. And I want to thank Pima too for the professional development opportunity. Last year, I went to a conference at Duke University in Durham, North Carolina. And the whole conference, it was a 2-day conference on how to teach intro psych. And I met people from all over the country, from community colleges and 4-year schools who are passionate about teaching introduction to psychology. And it was incredibly inspirational. I really learned so much that I put to use in my classroom. And this year, in June, I'm going back to North Carolina, and I'm giving a paper there to discuss my final project in my intro psych class, which is a self-discovery project. So students have to take 20 tests that reveal information and personality traits and all kinds of things about themselves. And then they write a paper about what they learned about themselves. And it has an added benefit of being pretty much immune to artificial intelligence, because there's no way a computer could write that paper for them. So that just is just a little slice of life in intro psych, and I appreciate the time you give me for talking about it. Thank you.
Thank you, Karen. That your class sounds amazing. I think maybe more than one of us might be signing up for your class next semester.
You're
so
welcome.
Thank you. Thank
You're
you.
welcome to join us.
Thanks so much. Okay, moving on to the next section of the agenda. We have remarks by governing board members. Would anybody like to go first? Greg Taylor?
Sure, yeah, I will.
Thank you.
So yeah, I would just join the initial chorus of what Chair Riel said about that my own illness was part of the reason we're doing this tonight. She's battling COVID, and I'm battling some stomach bug that just won't quit. So I appreciate the opportunity to be online so that I don't infect everybody else, because y'all don't want what I've been going through for the last 2 days. I promise you that. And also too, I mean, I wasn't planning to say this before, but just a, a big thank you to all the faculty and adjunct faculty who, just right now shared a glimpse into their lives in the public comment period. I really appreciate that. And, it's very clear that you're working hard and your dedication to students came across strongly. So we really appreciate all of your efforts. And a big thanks from me to the college. All of us on the board had an opportunity to go to the Association of Community College Trustees Conference in Washington, D.C. I know we're going to hear a little more about that later in the agenda, but, while I have a chance, I just wanted to say, there's a few things that were clear to me, and it was part conference and part congressional visits. So we were able to do both of those. And when I was talking to other trustees, that is other board members from across the country, a lot of the things that Pima has done have made us sort of the envy of some other community colleges in terms of how we've been able to try to start tackling shared challenges around enrollment and the future of the institution. And it's a credit to the hard work of everybody here. I heard lots of people asking questions in general about what about this and what about that. And I was able to share some of what we do here. And I got a lot of, oh my God, I wish we could do that. Oh my God, I wish we could do that. So I want to thank there. And also a big thanks to Melissa and Angelo and Erica, who were the students that joined us in the congressional meetings. It was really a pleasure to get to know all three of you and have a chance to hear your stories. And of course, a big thank you to Senators Kelly and Sinema and Representative Siscomani, who, at least in the meetings that I was in, those were the congressional members who met with us personally and listened to those students and our stories, and their support for the college and their support for our students in this community was really clear in those meetings. So thanks so much to all of them. And then finally, just real quick, I also wanted to say thanks to the Dean of Sciences, Emily Halverson-Otts. Hopefully I pronounced your last name correctly, but I caught that piece on KOLD on ChatGPT, and I really appreciate you showing and sharing your insight into that emerging technology and how it can be used effectively in the classroom. As I know, a lot of our faculty are grappling with how we can deal with that as it impacts classroom instruction. So it's always nice to see Pima faculty's expertise on display for the whole community. So thanks so much. That's it for me.
Great. Thank you, Greg. That was really nice. Dr. McLean, are you wanting to give some remarks?
Yes, I would like to.
Thank you.
I'm another guilty party, and the reason that we're Zooming this meeting tonight, prior to being appointed to the governing board, my wife and I secured tickets to the Pac-12 Men's Basketball Championships in Las Vegas. So that's what we're doing up here. And with that, we go to the men's and women's basketball games at the University of Arizona. So we know a little bit about basketball, and we were able to attend Pima College men's and women's basketball games a couple of weeks ago. And I'd like everybody to know that we were very impressed with the play. Not only did we beat Chandler and Gilbert, both with the men's and the women's teams, but it was a wonderful experience. Crowd was very good. Wish more people were in the stands. And it's one of the best things you can do for not a lot of money. So if you get a chance, go out and support the men and women that are student athletes at Pima College. They work hard and deserve our attendance and our support. The most fun thing I did, well, other than the DC trip, and I have to tell you, on the DC trip, I've done that before with other organizations, but never have I received the positive feedback that I received on this trip. It all kicked off with the kinds of students that attended the activities with us. Very impressive. When you have congressmen, senators saying how impressed they are with our students, that's the product that we put out into our community, and I was very proud to be in attendance with them. The other thing that I was able to do, my wife and I attended the paramedic graduation this year, and it was also a couple of weeks ago. We had 21 graduates that are now in our community as paramedics. That was 100% success rate for those that entered the program. 20 out of the 21 passed their state boards on the first try. And if any of you have ever attempted to pass the state board, first try is a very, very high goal, and they did an excellent job. And with that, we are sending paramedics now to Tucson Fire, Northwest Fire, Golden Ranch Fire, and Nogales Fire. So the impact that Pima Community College has in our communities throughout Southern Arizona is impactful. So we were very impressed with the young men and women that were graduates in that program. And they all promised me that when I need them, they will be there. So with that, I'll end my report. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Dr. McLean. Maria Garcia, are you wanting to make some more remarks?
Okay, I'll be brief. Well, first of all, I want to welcome everybody in attendance. The DC trip was wonderful. Speaking to and getting the support from our legislators was great. But it was also nice to interact with my fellow board members and getting to know them better. The students were excellent, great students. And I think that Greg and Wade said everything already. So thank you guys. Okay, thanks. That's it.
Thank you, Maria. Luis Gonzalez.
Yes, good evening, everybody. Especially I want to say a great shout out to Melissa, Erica, and Angelo. They did an outstanding job in reference to representing Tucson, but more important, the Pima Community College. I think they were very articulate. They were very confident, and I love the interaction we as board members had with them as well too. But it was a moment that I think it's should continue with the various young people that we're going to be gathering later, maybe next year as well too. But I think the Washington D.C. trip was it's great, but also more important, also networking with the individuals up there, with the other trustees. I think that was my component that I love, aside from going to the Capitol, which I've done quite a few times already. I really enjoyed meeting on a one-to-one basis one of the session with Mr. Our astronaut.
Mark Kelly.
Mark Kelly. He had a lot of good words, but more important, what I liked when at the session, he was very interactive with the young people that were there in that session. And he was very down to earth. And I strongly believe he has the traits of the compassion, not only for the young people, but more important, his real support for education. I think he has he's devoted his future, his career in doing the best for the Arizona people here. And as we told him that day, and the young people told him over and over, the young people are the future leaders of tomorrow. That's one of the things that really stuck out to me as well too. And I've always said that as well too, which is true. That's basically it. I would like to end it on a high note, but unfortunately, sometimes when it snows, it snows, and when it rains, it rains. I attended a funeral last week for 3 days. In our culture, we do 4 days from Friday to basically Monday again. But more important, it was a sad time for me. Saturday morning, when we were finishing up with our funeral, 4 o'clock in the morning, we got word that one of our cousins also passed, and I'm going back again this Friday. But it's all I want to say is that it's part of life, but more important, we all, not only as faculty, board members, but as the young people out there, the students, one of the things I always emphasize, your health. It's very important. Without your health, we cannot do what we've been doing. But I think that's very imperative with this challenging times. And I feel for those young people out there too, reference to their insecurities that they might have. But I think as a family with Pima Community College, as a family, I think we're trying to provide and providing the best that we can, and we'll provide more services out there too. And as we heard, part of the faculty. I think there's a lot of issues and concerns that we're all that hasn't gone away, but we need to address them as well too. So we really need to find for solutions on that within the community. But with that note, I would like to say one last word is happy International Women's Mother's Day. Unfortunately, I don't have my mom, but she's always in my heart every day. But with that, those are the 2-3 words that I just wanted to say today. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gonzalez. I appreciate those words. I wanted to say first a little public announcement. This position of being on the governing board is a great position. And so keep your mind open of running for a school board or a governing board, because there's all sorts of amazing positive things that are happening because of the educators and the administrators and the students in all of these different educational arenas. And they really need good people who care about learning, teaching, and students on governing boards and school boards across the nation. So keep that in mind. I was also lucky enough to go to DC, and I spent my 58th birthday there, which was a bonus. Amazing, amazing place, all the history. Later on, after that, I was up in Phoenix for the All Arizona Academic Team celebration, and the number of administrators and faculty and staff that were there to support these 4 students. And I'm just going to read out their names real quick. We might have already done this once before, but sorry about this, my eyes. Matthew Arcaresi, Teresa Billick, Emma Barak, Khalil Gato, Nicole Gil Lopez, Kira Okuma, and Daniel Schleschler. Anyway, the amazing things that they have been doing and the amazing future that those 7 young people had. There were a lot of other people from the state too, but just really amazing. All of the just impressive young people that are coming to Pima Community College and just making so many great things out of their lives. I was also fortunate enough to get to go to the Bellwether College Consortium in San Antonio this past week. And there were 3 different areas that they offer awards to different schools. And Pima Community College was a finalist in each of those 3 areas. So once again, I just want to say my sincere appreciation, gratitude for all of the administrators and the faculty and the staff and the students who make those amazing things at Pima College happen. And so we are, the entire board, we're very proud of all of you for all of the things you do each and every day. So just keep on keeping on. Thank you so much. Our next item on the agenda is Pima's Mission Moments. And this is, I think, going to be presented by Elizabeth Howell and Joseph Mace about the visit to Washington, D.C.
Good evening, Chair Rial, members of the board, and Chancellor Lambert. My name is Libby Howell. I'm the Executive Director of Media, Community, and Government Relations for the college. And it's my pleasure tonight to introduce our mission moment and to help the rest of our school population meet these amazing students that went with us all to Washington, D.C. for the Congressional Summit. So with that, I'm going to turn the microphone over to my colleague, Joseph Mays, who's our Director of Community and Government Relations, and he was the tour guide for this expedition. So Joseph, the mic is all yours.
Thanks, Libby. Chair Rial, members of the board, Chancellor Lambert. So we had, as many of the board members spoke about, we all were able to go, all 5 board members, the Chancellor, and 3 of our students, able to go to the Association of Community College Trustees Legislative Summit at the beginning of last month. And it was a really important opportunity for Pima Community College to share some of our goals that we share with community colleges around the country, and to be able to sort of bring those together in one place, and to remind our federal elected officials and federal agencies of the important work that our school does. This year, once again, our federal lobbyist, Tracy Tucker, was instrumental in helping us plan and coordinate what turned out to be a complicated schedule with senators, congressmen, representatives from agencies, including the Department of Ed and the Department of Transportation. And as many of the board members have already mentioned this evening, we had 3 incredible PCC students join us on that trip: Melissa Ortiz, Erica Monreal, and Angelo Thomas. Those 3 students were incredible ambassadors for Pima. They did an impressive job of sharing their experience at the school, and sharing some of the great things they do here, and driving home to elected officials, you know, the great things that our school is able to do with those federal funds, those much needed federal funds here at Pima. And so we're lucky to be able to have had those students join us in DC, and we also are fortunate tonight to have the 3 of them with us here. So I'm going to turn it back to Libby so she can share theirs, or bring them into the conversation as well. Thanks.
So I've asked the students to introduce themselves, talk about their field of study, and just give us a very brief statement about what was most meaningful about the trip for them. So let's start with Angelo.
Hello, my name is Angelo Thomas. I am a veteran. I am a first-generation college student, and I'm also a tradesman. My area of study is, I recently finished up an applied science degree through Pima. I am still currently with them. I'm working on a bachelor's now, and it was an amazing trip. I'm just thankful that I was able to be a part of it. I learned so much. It was a different side of the world I'm not used to seeing, and one of the most impactful things, I think, to me was not necessarily all the congressmen, honestly. It was the members of the ACCT. To see how important they are, and how they are the voice for our communities. They voice the problems, they give potential solutions, and they're there to communicate our Pima Community College, and I think that was amazing to see. Otherwise, these elected officials don't necessarily get the time or have the care to look into it themselves. So I think that was the most impactful thing I learned from the trip, was seeing how we play such a big part to bring this up to our government. And it was just a fantastic experience, and thank you to Joseph. He chaperoned us around, held our hand, and he was amazing. And that's pretty much all from me. Again, thank you all. I appreciate the opportunity. It was an amazing trip. All right, thank you.
Okay, let's hear from Melissa next.
Hello, my name is Melissa Ortiz, and my program of study is IT and cybersecurity. I am also a first-generation American and first-generation college student, and I'm also a mother to 3 children. Pima has done so much for me, and this is not my first rodeo with Pima Community College. I went to college here at Pima when I first graduated high school for a different degree, and here I am, still receiving the benefits and opportunities that Pima offers. So it was a pleasure and an honor to be considered to go on this trip to move the mission forward, and it was amazing to get to know the board members and to get to speak to the chancellor on a little bit of a more personal level, and of course hanging out with Joseph and just kind of seeing the world at a different level that I don't know if I would ever get to experience otherwise. It was really impactful to me to be at the conference and see how these community colleges really strategize to get the most out of the most that we can get and it was just amazing to be able to be a part of that. So it was great to be able to talk about our IT Cybersecurity Center of Excellence at East Campus. So that's it.
Okay, and last but not least, Erica.
Hi, my name is Erica. I'm studying right now liberal arts program. Next fall, I'm going to be transferred to U of A. I'm extremely sad about that because after the trip, I just want to stay with Pima for a longer time. So thank you again, Joseph, board members, for the great company for the trip. It was really nice. I think that's one of the things that I like the most, just the company. And again, thank you, Pima. It was a really nice way to see, participating on this trip. It was a really nice way to see how Pima is doing their best for us, and I'm just grateful, and I got nervous. So yeah, the ACCT conferences went really. I think that's also the thing that I liked the most. They were really informative. How just listening to all of the students again and their representatives for each community college schools around the country. Yeah, it was a really nice experience. And again, thank you so much, all of you. Thank you.
Great. They really are awesome. So we have a little 1.5 minute video we'd like to show. But before I do, are there any questions or comments from the members of the board? Okay, I think.
To say thank you again. The three of you knocked it out of the park, and Erica, I heard you deliver that thing flawlessly to a bunch of folks that are much more important than any of us on the screen that you're staring at. So there's no reason to be nervous here.
Great. The video we're going to show you is a short video produced by Sherry Benson and our own PCC TV folks.
I actually started in 2020, and I'm also a mother.
3 Pima Community College students are taking advantage of a rare opportunity to meet members of Congress this week in Washington, D.C.
I went into the military for a little bit and then went to Pima. I just finished an applied science degree.
Angelo Thomas, Erica Monreal, and Melissa Ortiz are with members of PCC's governing board attending the Association of Community College Trustees National Legislative Summit. With Pima's high-profile reputation, the students have made a remarkable impression on our members of Congress and their staff.
I'm first generation in my family, and I didn't know how to find scholarships and how to get enrolled.
PCC's lobbying team helped the students advocate for key legislation, budget priorities, and rules changes that would benefit students.
They want to hear about their struggles. They want to hear about what works for them, what hasn't worked, because it keeps what we do real.
Meanwhile, Pima's Chancellor, Lee Lambert, was selected to be the guest of newly elected Congressman Juan Ciscomani during President Biden's State of the Union address. Ciscomani is a Pima Community College graduate and says he never would have achieved his dream without the scholarship Pima offered to him. Chancellor Lambert also introduced Ciscomani to the National Legislative Summit's Congressional Forum.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Libby, and Erica and Melissa and Angelo. Thank you so much for all you did for Pima College. We're really proud of you. Thank you, Joseph, for everything you did too, for all of us. You helped everybody out up there, so we appreciate all of that. Okay, moving on to section 2, our reports. First, our administration report. Dr. David B. is going to give the Chancellor's goal update.
Good evening, Chairperson Real, members of the board, Chancellor Lambert, colleagues, guests. It's my pleasure to give a quick update, and I will keep it on the quick, of the Chancellor goals that fall under my general oversight, which are in the operational areas. So we're making good progress. The last time I spoke with the board, I mentioned that a lot of activity was going to happen in these areas in the spring. And so you're seeing the progress increasing pretty dramatically, and you're seeing it through a number of board discussions and things that we're doing that we'll be doing throughout the spring. So far, we're around the 75% complete mark with the different areas. Just to highlight a couple of things, the budget and then the long range looking at the 3-year plan, we've had really good discussions with the board. And in the last study session a few weeks ago, talking about the operational of the next year, focusing on the next year, but then starting to have discussions about conversations that we're going to have in terms of the next couple of years and what the budget outlook looks like. Following that, we're going to have a study session upcoming on class and compensation, doing an update on how that program rolled out, where we're at, and what continues to be on things that we'd like to do with the program going forward. Just a quick update, we are complete with the appeals. But I'll give a far more comprehensive update to the board at that study session, and I think it's in a couple of weeks. And then lastly, there is a study session scheduled for April, where we're going to talk again more about the budget in the lead into the full budget proposal that we'll bring to the board in May. And also in terms of the capital budget and talking about capital needs, there's going to be some longer term conversations related to that as well, and some of the capital projects that are underway and some of the decisions that the board will be involved in making upcoming. So those are some of the things, particularly around class comp and the budget. We have had good conversations with the class comp, with the AERC members, related to their priorities and identifying their priorities. If we have revenues to make progress above and beyond the basics with it coming from the budget, they're already working on identifying priorities and things that they'd like us to address. So there's always unmet need. There's always priorities that we can't address. The goal is to try and do as much as we can with the resources we have available. So with that, there's a lot of interesting things going on in IT, identifying applications both on the administration side. We're taking a look at potential budgeting software, and then also looking at on the academic side, integrating virtual reality or augmented reality within the classroom and working with faculty on some of those programs. So those are some of the exciting things. Again, I wanted to keep it quick and ask if the board has any questions. Otherwise, I know you have a lot of business to take care of today.
Thank you, David B. We appreciate you and all that you do for us. Thanks.
You're not done with me yet.
Oh.
I'll be talking more later, but I'm done for now.
Okay. Thank you. Our next report is from Phil Burdick, a marketing update.
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the Governing Board, PCC employees and guests. Later this evening, you'll be considering whether to renew the college's contract with Gordley Group. They're the college's marketing vendor. It's a 3-year cooperative contract using Gordley's contract with the city of Tucson. However, we will be going out for an RFP after year 2 of the contract, as RFPs, as you know, can take up to a year to complete and for a new vendor to come on board. I'd like to introduce to you 2 people, Jan Gordley, she is the president of Gordley Group, and Dawn Hosak, she is Gordley Group's media and marketing director, and you'll meet them both in just a moment. But let me share my screen here, and hopefully this works. Can you guys see that okay?
Yes.
Great. So this is part of a slide deck that was sent to you earlier this week, as well as a very lengthy executive summary. My apologies for the length of that summary that you received. Gordley Group also presented this deck to the Enrollment and External Relations Committee yesterday. We're not going to show you all the slides, But we wanted to highlight just a couple of areas. I have the pleasure of introducing the first slide, which is the great news that fall enrollment was up significantly in the fall. This is contrary to the national average, which was flat or down slightly. And we really, over the last fall, we targeted two areas primarily, Hispanic enrollment and the traditional 18 to 24-year-old group. Both of those were up significantly, and I think were the reason for the enrollment increase that you see there. Spring enrollment also happily is up, was up first day enrollment 6.5%. Now, that's the great news, but that trend will not last. We know that the pool of 18 to 24-year-olds, it will decline, especially over the next few years, because of the decline in birth rate, as well as the continuing decline in high school graduation. So what you're going to see from our marketing is shifting away over the next few years from this 18 to 24-year-old demographic into more marketing muscle into attracting adult students into a lot of our workforce degree certificate programs, as well as our credit programs. Those adult learners are much harder to reach. They have a lot more barriers to going to school, but that's an area that we think is a real opportunity for us going forward. So that said, we want to keep our positive momentum going. We want to keep our branding and messaging consistent, which, as you know, is really critical to successful marketing campaigns. So with that, let me throw it to Jan and Dawn, and they can take you through to the next slide.
Okay, thank you, Phil. Good evening, Chair Rial, members of the board, Chancellor Lambert, and guests, and thank you for this opportunity. I am Jan Gordley, president of Gordley Group. Oh. And Phil, if you would advance to the next slide.
Yeah, and it just left me, I'm sorry.
Okay, so I can go ahead and let you know what you're going to see on the next slide. It is showing a comparison of the total enrollment marketing budgets, there we go, for this fiscal year, as well as the past 4 years. It also shows how within the marketing budgets, funds were used for marketing or for media purchases and for services. So for expenditures on media, the range is from 76 to 83% of the total budget direct to media. For each enrollment campaign, Dawn sends out numerous requests for proposals to all relevant media. We evaluate their proposals and very rigorously negotiate for improved rates, better schedules, and more value. Because we buy advertising for multiple clients, we work with the media every single workday. That means we know their current trends, their options, and comparative rates. Plus, we're able to leverage that bulk buying of advertising for multiple clients to the college's advantage, providing better packages and reduced rate. An important part of that process is the negotiation of added value advertising at no media cost. Excuse me. That added value averages 20% in additional advertising above paid media at no cost. The 17 to 24% of the budget that you see in the gray bar starts with us working on campaign strategy and planning done with Pima's outstanding marketing team, then soliciting the media proposals, reviewing, negotiating, buying the media. But that process doesn't stop with the buy. We continue with media tracking, checking, confirming schedules, and then actively optimizing media, particularly digital media, to make sure you're receiving the best possible value. Our creative services includes planning, design, and production of all advertising, including audio, video, animation, and print. And it's important to note that Gordley Group charges on an hourly basis. It's not a lump sum or a retainer. The college pays only for what is requested of us and provided, and only when it's needed. So if you could go ahead and advance the slides. These slides that we're advancing through were provided to the board earlier and are just here for reference while we highlight the others. So this is an important one, the Latino marketing. Here you can see on the graph the numbers for the fall enrollments, 10% increase in the number of Hispanic students, increasing from 7,616 to 8,374. As Phil said, this is one of the most important and main focuses of the fall enrollment campaign and successes for enrollment. So this slide shows a few of the factors of the overall focus on engaging the Hispanic community, including Spanish language components of the marketing campaign. I just want to note that across the bottom of the screen, you'll see some of the diversity in our images and messages. Over 60% of our marketing photos feature Hispanic students. We always focus on that to make sure that those we are reaching out to are able to see themselves in the college, in the advertising, and feel welcome and included in that environment. Now I'm going to pass it to Dawn Hosack, who's our Media and Marketing Director, to go over, just kind of touch on some of the specifics of the Latino marketing, comeback Latino marketing screen, and then she'll move on to the breakdown between traditional and digital marketing. So Dawn?
Hello, everyone. So as our Tucson population is diverse, so is our marketing. We utilize the media channels where the audience is. So for instance, KRQ is the #1 station in Tucson for adults 18 to 24, but it's also the #1 station with Hispanics in Tucson 18 to 24. So we want to hit people where they are, where they listen to, what they watch, and we're very careful in the media that we vet. We also set aside a portion of the budget to run Spanish language marketing. Whether it's print, digital, or outdoor billboards, we do not take the English message and translate it directly to Spanish. We have a team of translators that work with our creative team to ensure that the essence of the message is the same, but that it makes sense and is meaningful to our Spanish-speaking and bilingual population. So Phil, if you want to head on to the breakdown. All right.
So this slide is showing the enrollment marketing and the specifics for traditional marketing methods. Are you able to see that, Dawn?
Yes, sorry, my screen blipped for a second. So this is an outline of the media plan for fall 2023. And a successful media plan is multi-touch point. Therefore, we combine both traditional media methods like print and radio with everything and anything digital. Since the fall campaigns cross over the college's fiscal years, a portion of the fall 2023 campaign is up and running right now. As a matter of fact, you may have seen the buses on the street. The new contract, if approved, would continue with some of these media methods along with some additional advertising methods, like the FC Tucson sponsorship, which we did last year and we hope to continue this year. And then that'll run through June or July of this year. Then the remainder of the first year's funds for the new contract will be utilized for spring, summer, and fall of 2024. The next slide shows the media breakdown. So our primary target audience these last couple of years has been the Gen Z, or high school, early to mid-20s. And a large portion of the marketing budget is spent in the digital realm because that is where this audience spends their days. So for the college, we utilize a variety of targeting methods, from audience and demographic targeting to programmatic and contextual targeting. And we do this across multiple platforms. So not just banner display ads that you can find on the web, on your phone, on your tablet, but also streaming video, streaming audio, social media, and search.
Sorry, my bad.
That's okay.
my computer just blipped.
So that is a summary of what this fall will look like. So back to you, Jan.
So I think it's for Phil to wrap up. We just, again, thank you for this opportunity. And that's just touching on bits and pieces of that, and will be available for questions later in the agenda.
Thank you both. And again, we'll be available later this meeting, later on in this meeting when you consider this item later in your agenda.
Great, thank you. That was very interesting. Our third report is from Wendy Weeks, the HLC update criterion 4.
And
is that me?
Thank you. Yes, thank you, Elliot. I appreciate it. Thank you.
So I'll be taking that report on. Sorry, Chairperson Riel. Hi, everyone. Members of the board, thanks for having me. I'm Elliot Mead. I'm on the Criterion 4 team, and I'll be presenting the information. And I see several of my teammates in the crowd here who would be able to help me out if I stumble or can't answer your questions. So, but yeah, I'm going to start off just by kind of demonstrating, showing where we're at in the process. Then I'm going to do a little bit of backtracking, talk about how we got there, and then I'll explain what criteria 4 is. So we're in a bit of a ride, but I am going to share my screen real quick, just so that I can show you our dashboard. And hopefully you are all seeing a series of bars right now. And what is important about that series of bars is the middle one, criterion 4, teaching and learning, evaluation and improvement. The team is rocking it, objectively so, because the bar is demonstrating that we have about 90%, actually 91% of our data already in place, and we are ready to go. And we can go down here and we can see that of all the there are 3 core components of the criterion 4 report. And we have, in one instance, for one component, we're at 100% of our data and information being compiled, and the others are at, roughly 70 and 80. So we have a lot of information put together, and I'm just going to stop sharing real quick. We have a lot of information put together. There is a lot of effort and energy already directed at this particular criterion. And I am going to slip over and share my screen again because I have some slides for you. So now you will see that we did have some previously identified concerns for criterion 4, and that's one of the reasons why we have so much effort and energy put towards getting our ducks in a row and so much research compiled already, is that there were a couple of items that have since been cleared from our 2018 assurance argument, and those are in areas of just making sure that we are acting upon our findings and that we're really bringing in our faculty and bringing transparency to the decision-making processes in this particular area. So with all of that said, that's kind of where we're at with this particular assurance argument, coming along very nicely, especially having addressed some of the concerns that have since been cleared from that 2018 argument. Let's see. There are a couple of, well, there's one major element that we are still waiting on the report for, and that is the February 2023 site visit. And we anticipate that that's going to inform areas and aspects of our criterion 4 report, including the assessment, curriculum, and program delivery of off-site locations. But again, we're still waiting on that report, and overall, from the work that we've done so far, we can demonstrate a high faculty engagement with assessment, which is going to be where I'm going with all of what is criterion 4. And we're really working to ensure that all of our instructors can participate in assessment evaluation through
clearly communicated procedures. So we are still anticipating that report. We anticipate there will be some things to address in it, but we feel pretty confident that we have overall a very strong, package to bring forward and procedures in place for that to occur. So with all of that said, you might be asking, but what is Criterion 4 exactly? So that's what this slide is all about. Criterion 4 is teaching and learning, evaluation, and improvement. So we're really dealing with 4 main categories. The institution ensures the quality of its educational offerings. So that's pretty self-explanatory. These are going to be things like program review, transfer policies, faculty qualifications, third-party accreditation, and how successful our learners are upon graduating. So, some of the examples of the kinds of evidence that we've compiled or in the process of compiling for 4A include things like program reviews, programs that have completed program review, have closed the loops, and their initiatives have been funded. For 4B, we're talking about assessing both academic and co-curricular student learning. So when we're referring to academic student learning, of course, we're referring to course program and general education learning outcomes, which is great. We have years of data collected at all 3 levels for this, for close, PLOS, and JELOs. We also have faculty responses and actions, based on these program reviews, CLO reviews, and JELO reviews. Regarding co-curricular, we're currently working as requested by the HLC to come up with a definition of co-curricular. That definition needs to come from us and not from the HLC, and defining that is really our next step in working on the goal of its continued assessment. And then 4C is about setting goals for completion, persistence, and retention, and then importantly, using data to improve. So evidence for this is going to be things like our strategic plan, our enrollment management plan, and analysis of relevant data across numerous programs. Let's see here. In addition to the 3 kind of core components of Criterion 4, there are 6 assumed practices that every institution is assumed to be in compliance with in all times. And these are just regarding faculty authority over grades, transcription and credits, agreements for internships and clinical placements, licensure, timely communication of course requirements, and the accuracy and breadth of student learning assessment data. So kind of implied underneath all of Criterion 4 is that we have in place all of these practices. And let's see. So what's next is that we're just finishing out compiling that evidence and getting started. And we just, again, it's been an awesome team to work on. I keep saying objectively because we have those bar charts and so many people have come together to really do that work and have done an amazing job at it. We have successful program reviews where departments have really worked and can demonstrate all of these asks. And let's see, what are some of the other things that we're trying to work through? The writing has begun, and we already have several, kind of assessment-related events in the future to really not only work in this particular criterion and the assurance argument, but just to continue the assessment work that we've already put in place as a college community. My unsolicited opinion as a writing professor, which is my main role at Pima Community College, is that we've got a great team with a solid draft. And so with that, I will close down the slides and open it up for any questions. And yes, Rita, thank you for spelling out what close, PLOS, and JELOs are in chat. In teacher speak, that's, how we know what our students know, so.
Well, Elliot, if there are no questions, I just wanted to say thank you. The board realizes that accreditation is that number one priority at the college to make sure that we show the HLC exactly how amazing the college is. And we really appreciate you and your team doing all that you're doing for that criteria number 4. Thank you so much. Okay, moving on. Section 2.2 reports by representatives to the board. And we have 2, I believe. Sean Mendoza representing the adjunct faculty and giving that report.
Hello, Chairwoman Ryle, Chancellor Lambert, members of the board, and honored guests. I'm honored to address you today and update you on recent projects and initiatives that the adjunct faculty have been working on in collaboration with our full-time peers and college administration. Over the past month, we've been working closely with the AERC to help better understand the responsibilities and roles between full-time and adjunct faculty. To address this, we've developed and distributed a survey to help us understand what faculty when faculty begin preparing for an upcoming class and how faculty should be compensated for their time. Additionally, we participated in changes to the adjunct faculty handbook, which will be going out for a 21-day comment. I'm also excited to share that in my new role as the chair for the All College Council, the ACC, we formed a governance subcommittee chaired by John Wesley and co-chaired by James Craig to review existing policies, identify gaps at our institution, define a purpose, review documentation, create a metric in compliance with our HLC requirements, and make recommendations on how we should be governed. Our current timeline is to organize this spring, begin to gather input and coordination in this upcoming fall, and hopefully complete our work in time for the assurance arguments submittal to the HLC at the beginning of fall 2024. The ACC has also been working on a project to help combat misinformation or false perceptions of faculty by sites like Rate My Professor. This solution, once implemented, will help enable students to better communicate and connect with faculty on course information and potentially shared interests. I believe that this project has the potential to attract and retain more students in our institution. At our last adjunct faculty meeting, we discussed the possibility of forming or joining an employee representative group in accordance with AP 1.25.02. Some members were very passionate about forming or joining an organization, while others had little or no interest, especially if it meant impacting their ability to pay for health care or food for their families. As a result, I've developed and disseminated a preliminary survey in the hopes to extend our conversation and answer 3 basic questions. Question 1, what would you want the group to do? 2, what services, resources would you expect? And 3, how much would you be willing to pay in dues? Once we have a greater understanding of the expectations for our employee group, I'll be happy to share my findings with the board. I'd also like to express my gratitude to the board, Provost Duran Serta, Chancellor Lambert, and our full-time faculty staff peers who have supported our initiatives over the past 6 years. Here are a few highlights that I would like to mention. The Adjunct Faculty Committee worked with Dr. David B. and the Provost's Office to introduce, design, and implement a tiered system benefiting both full-time and adjunct faculty. We also work with the Provost's Office and the board to provide adjunct faculty spouses and dependents access to the tuition waiver. We also work with Dr. Aubrey Conover and college administration to provide access to professional development funding up to $1,000 a year. And we worked with the Provost's Office and Kate Schmidt to help develop training and a guidebook for new adjunct faculty. And most importantly, we worked with college administration to provide compensation for training and participation on committees like the Faculty Senate and AERC. All of these items were all didn't exist prior to our time. And yes, we've accomplished much, but many of us feel we still have a great deal of work to accomplish. Today, I'm asking for your continued support of our work, especially in helping some of our peers who depend on their adjunct faculty pay as their sole source of income and access for their healthcare needs. I believe that the measure of success for our institution will be found in how we treat our students and employees with the greatest need. I thank you for continued support for the adjunct faculty. And lastly, on behalf of adjunct faculty and myself, I would like to thank Dr. David Dorig for his service to the college. He will be missed. And lastly, go Pepperdine Waves. Fellow Pepperdine. And this ends my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Sean. That was wonderful. We really appreciate you and all the adjunct faculty. So please share the board's thoughts with them. Thanks so much. Our second report from the representative to the board is the faculty report from Denise Riley.
Good evening, Chair Riel, members of the board, Chancellor Lambert, colleagues, and guests. And while I can respect my colleague Sean and his support, I'm gonna go with someone else in the group here and say go Cats in the March Madness tournament, just to throw that out there. But thank you, Sean, much appreciated. So I'm Denise Riley, and I'm here speaking on behalf of the faculty. And while Sean has a special lens into the adjunct faculty, I have a special lens into the full-time faculty. And I wanted to say that we have accomplished quite a bit this year. We are very appreciative of all those in the full-time role that helped with updating our charter in Faculty Senate. And so we have refined and revised and revisited and approved the new faculty charter and voted on some new membership to come in the future. With the theme of Year of Data, which I've decided to title it, since I appreciate the board members that are really asking for hard data, it is much appreciated. I want to say that it was beneficial. Many of us had watched your study session not that long ago, and it was interesting how the data was being talked about and looked at, and I think that it gave a few of us some different impressions based on some of the Chancellor remarks. And based on that conversation, it was much appreciated that Chancellor Lambert did attend our Faculty Senate meeting this last Friday at the very beginning and came with data. What do you know? So it was appreciated that this data was shared. And one of the things that really stood out was how often we take a look at the data. Oftentimes we gather data from all different sources of the college, but what is to be done with the data, it's not always very clear. And it's not about finding the data on the website somewhere in a link somewhere at some point. It's about sharing the data, talking about it, and including faculty in what we're going to do about the data, the responses. And so we were presented with that, and the Chancellor came in and refuted some of what was said about not being a transfer institution, which I very much appreciated, and we appreciated the apology for saying a few things that didn't really make quite a lot of sense to us. And I just want to say that while we continue to share the data and give feedback on the data, it is appreciated to hear about data from different areas of the college, not just the instruction area, which I know some of that was shared as well at the same Faculty Senate meeting. I wanted to also bring up a point that many of us could talk about. One of the questions that was asked at our meeting that was a pretty poignant question from many was, why are students not transferring? Why are they not completing? And I want to share that, yes, the bulk of our institution, and really the major bulk, are in the transfer degrees. So while our students are completing certificates, to just be really clear about this from just a really simple snapshot, myself, I'm an example of a non-completer at the college. So I went to Pima Community College many years ago, and my end goal was to get a bachelor's degree from the U of A. And that's what I accomplished. I never completed a degree at Pima. I saw it as a stepping stone to where I needed to go. So I didn't complete what is considered a liberal arts degree, or what would be a 2-year degree. Now, while we want students to do that because our numbers look better, there's no incentive for students to get an associate's degree, to be honest. So many students go to the university with a class left to take, a couple classes. I had the same situation. I had a couple classes left to take, but I wasn't going to spend another semester at Pima as a part-time student while I needed to finish my classes. So that's what happens. And there is no method to track that. We have asked that, and we hear that that could be coming in the future at some point to backtrack completion degrees. But at the same time, there's many students that do complete, like myself, that are not considered completers because we didn't ever get a certificate or degree, but that doesn't mean we didn't complete our goal of getting a bachelor's and then a master's degree. So the data can be really skewed, and I want to be we want to be included in the data. We want to be included in the decision-making of the data, but we also want to be aware that a lot of times our data is very skewed if we're just looking at it from one angle. And I can tell you that, you know, as a faculty member, we all teach in different groups, but we see students at different levels. And I see the ones right before they're transferring. And one of the things that I wanted to bring up, aside from data and the collection of data and where we're going for the data, is include the faculty in the solutions and show us the whole picture or the whole bit of data. I think that's important. Oftentimes, I think we're hearing that when we ask questions, a lot of times the solutions are external factors like, oh, the students have jobs, they have families, they have these things. And while we know that's true, we need to look at our internal processes that make it difficult for students to complete. And so it's not just about what else can we do or what we can't do, but look out into the community. It's about what can we do at our institution, everybody together. The last point I wanted to make is when we keep hearing, and this is just something that's repeated often, we keep hearing about, you know, what can be done by faculty. We hear that over and over again, and I appreciate that. We're always looking to refine our practices. We're teachers for a reason. However, when our ratio at the college is currently 1 to 50, and we're not even really there, when our ratio of students to faculty at the college is 1 to 50, and the rest of the college is 1 to 12, that makes us kind of wonder, why are we constantly being told, what can we do, what can we do, when we're wondering, what's the rest of the institution doing to streamline the processes for students and to support the students during the journey and to complete? And so, just in summary, data, we want the data, we want to continue with the year data, but secondly, we want to be in on the data and solutions to come up with that are actually feasible, that will last, to help our students complete. And then lastly is let's look at the internal factors that we have control over rather than looking at the external factors of why our students aren't completing. Let's see if we can fine tune some of those things. And thank you very much. Have a good night.
Thank you, Denise. We always appreciate everything that the faculty does for the students. And we do realize, I mean, we heard from many faculty members today during the call of the audience. So we are impressed with what you do. So keep it up, and thanks for being a special part of Pima College. Thank you. Moving on, our next item is the Chancellor's Report. Chancellor Lambert.
Yes, good evening, everybody. And I want to first start out and say thank you to our faculty, staff, students, and administration and the board for the great work we're doing. Because it's always good that we're critical of what we do, but when we step back and look at it from an aerial view, you realize, and I think Board Member Taylor said it very well, Pima is really the envy of a lot of colleges across the country. That's because we are grappling with the critical issues and willing to take a look and see what we can do to keep improving. So I don't want us to lose sight of that. And so I want to thank each and every one of you. Also want to say to the adjunct faculty, you matter to us. The full-time faculty know that, the staff know that, the administrators know that. We would not be able to do what we do without you. And we're always willing to keep working to see what we can do to improve the conditions for you here at the college. And as Sean just pointed out recently, we have made great strides in doing that work. We have room to continue to do that work, but I don't want us to lose sight of the work that has been done. So thank you. I want to thank our students, Melissa, Erica, and Angelo. We were so appreciative that you took the time away from your studies to join the board and myself in Washington, D.C. And I hope that maybe one day one of you or all of you can be members of Congress or members of the state legislature or even, governor or any of those important positions that help facilitate our great democracy. Also want to recognize Libby for her leadership in helping to bring all of this together, and Joseph for helping to chaperone, along with Andrea. Andrea, thank you for being there. You've kept, I think the board would agree, you keep us organized. So thank you for what you do in that regard. I was so honored to be asked by Representative Juan Ciscomani to attend the State of the Union address. That's a once in a lifetime honor. And so thank you, Representative Ciscomani, for that opportunity. And I'll always cherish that moment. And we should all be so proud that Representative Ciscomani is a graduate of Pima Community College. And when he spoke at the legislative forum, he made it be known that he is a proud Pima graduate. And he gave so many kudos to so many people. I'll just highlight one example of that. He didn't say the board member's name by name, but I knew exactly who he was talking about, and that was former board member Mark Hanna. And so again, we're just so fortunate that we have Representative Ciscomani in Congress, and his party looks to him as a rising star, but I would say this, he is a star. And so we're so fortunate. So thank you. Also, I couldn't stay for the entire trip because I was invited. Ian joined me in this to meet with the U.S. SBA Administrator, Isabella Guzman, along with Mayor Romero. So I had to come back early, and I was not able to join the group in the afternoon sessions. I think it was Wednesday. But I want you to all know that that was in service to what we do here on the ground to support our small businesses. And Pima plays a significant role in helping to support the small businesses in our community. Also, I had the good fortune, and unfortunately I had to miss the All Arizona event because I was invited to go meet with Secretary Mayorkas in Washington, D.C., the Homeland Security Secretary. So I was there with a handful of other colleges and universities who represent our Hispanic serving institutions to make the case for why we are so critical to the success of our nation, and with particular focus in the case of Pima around cybersecurity. Cybersecurity, for all of you know, it is probably our fastest growing program at the college. It has grown, it has experienced an explosive growth, not just IT cybersecurity, over 160% since 2018. So I think that's an indication that our students in our community are sending us a strong signal of great opportunity in that particular area. Also, we met earlier today with Councilmember Nikki Lee. So I want to thank her and the City Council, Tucson City Council, and the mayor for their support of our IT cybersecurity students in the form of scholarships that they're providing to those students. So we're very fortunate that we have a very caring community that we're a part of. Also, I want to recognize Pima just keeps collecting the awards. And so recently there was the Instructional Technology Council, and I mentioned some of the individuals last month, but we also had some other folks who recently got recognized. For innovative e-learning technology, Pamela Silger, who's one member of our psychology faculty, Adam Beltry, Brad Butler received award for innovation. Outstanding e-course designer and design team, Ann Huth, Gloria Moore and Twee Pan, Frankie Reynoso, and Kylie Shaw were recognized in that category for the work they support for us to be recognized. And our honor student, Kira Okuma, will be one of the 20 all USA academic members for this year. So that's so much to be proud of. And I just got word, I'm not going to announce the names of the students because I don't think they've all been notified yet. But we have a number of students who are also selected as Coca-Cola scholars. All of this just points to just the great work that goes on at Pima each and every day. And I also want to just add to what the chair said earlier about the bellwether. And what I shared with the group while we were there, if you look at over the last 4 years, going back to the end of 2019, going into 2020, no college has had as many bellwether recognitions in this country than Pima Community College. And that's a phenomenal accomplishment. And in all of that, we have walked away with one final award for our work in developmental education. So we, again, have so much to be proud of. And the list just goes on and on. So I just want to close by saying thank you to you, David. I look forward to working with you in your new capacity. And since you're going to be in Virginia, we're going to look to you to help drive that transformation pace in our nation's capital. Back to you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Chancellor. Okay, so section 3 is just information items, and it's full of all sorts of amazing things. Employment information, adjunct faculty hiring, administrator contracts for next school year, regular faculty appointments for next school year, employee dental and life insurance for the fiscal year 23-24, and sabbatical appointments. All of those things have been decided, but it's just there for our information and our knowledge. And once again, just a lot of really good things going on for employees and great things happening to employees. So here's for one more amazing school year coming up. Thank you. Moving on to item number 4, the consent agenda grouping. Currently, there are 12 items in there. Do I have a motion?
I move to approve the consent agenda.
Is there a second?
I think Wade was the second, but he was.
Okay, thank you. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Maria? We can't hear you.
I'm sorry. We're approving the consent agenda, all the items.
Yes.
I abstain.
Okay. Okay, motion passes 4 with 1 abstention. And then moving on to section 5, the 3 action items. Section 5.1, I think Dr. David B. is going to talk a moment more about tuition and service fees for the academic year coming up.
Okay. I told you you weren't rid of me yet. Good evening, Chairperson Real, members of the board, Chancellor Lambert, colleagues, guests. Can you see the screen okay? I just want to make sure that it's coming out all right. Okay. As I discussed briefly earlier, we had a really, I think, comprehensive study session back in February to talk about the budget and where the budget stands in the lead into what is in front of the board tonight, which is a recommendation to increase the credit hour, in-state credit hour rate by $3. As we've discussed with the board, that's our recommendation, and it's based on the budgetary information that's included in the presentation. I'm not going to go through the whole presentation. We included in your information a lot of it as reference. But basically, to sort of summarize, the priorities of the budget this year are to sustain and improve the class and comp situation for our employees. So you heard a number of times, a number of comments earlier about the importance of compensation and recognizing our employees for the great work they do here at the college. We implemented a comprehensive update of our classification compensation structure, we got about 90% of the way there in terms of fully implementing it. We invested a lot of money last year into moving people up into the new class comp structure, which is tied to market, and then recognizing people's years of experience in their position. There is additional work that we would like to do to further implement that. When I'm saying that we implemented about 90% of the way, there are caps that are placed on years of experience at the 12-year point for staff and faculty. And what we'd like to do is move a year up in terms of years of experience, and then talk about the different priorities that we haven't been able to do. Again, I've said that we're going to have a study session in a couple of weeks where I'll give you the update on some of the things that we'd like to also be able to do. But essentially, that the way the budget is structured right now is that if we do not have increased revenues from a tuition increase, and we don't have any increase in property tax levy revenues beyond the growth that has happened in Pima County, that we essentially have the ability within the budget to add a year of experience for folks, but not have any pool money on top of that. And so what a $3 tuition increase would do and a 2% levy increase would do would give us a pool of about 2% of salaries that we can then go through and identify what the priorities are going to be. Any revenues above that gives us more money to do more adjustments thereby. That base structure that I talked about includes the obligations, contractual obligations, and things like that. So it's basically the budget is structured to do what we're already doing, to have a little bit of additional money to do strategic initiatives. We set aside money for strategic initiatives, but in terms of making big headway or making good progress on the class comp, additional priorities or providing additional funds for adjunct faculty to increase the load rate for adjunct faculty, we really do need additional revenues to do that. And we do not take tuition increases lightly. In the packet, and I'll walk through it a little bit to you, but the increase that we're talking about, a $3 increase, historically is in the norm of what the college has done. There's some information in there that shows increases over time. The college has always been committed to keeping tuition increases as low as possible. What this chart shows that I have up in front of you here is where we stand versus our peer institutions for the tuition rate. The bars, the base bar is where things are at in the current year. And then if you add the little bit that's on the top in orange for the other colleges and dark blue for Pima, that would be the $3 for Pima. And then the increases that are either already approved or being proposed by the other peer institutions. So you can see even with a $3 increase, we're actually right at the middle. In fact, going toward the lower end of the middle at this point. A couple of the colleges are implementing large tuition increases. Partly that's in recognition of the expenditure limitation challenges that they're experiencing, and the reality of that we're all facing, which is that without additional revenues, it's really hard to continue to operate at the premier level that we want to operate at. Moving on, this chart shows what the historical trend has been. As you can see that we do take increases very seriously in terms of we try to keep them as low as possible. This chart came up as part of the conversations we've had with the board, and it came up in the study session in terms of the Pell Award. So that's the federal aid grant that is available for students who qualify who are at the lowest income levels. This shows what the maximum Pell Award is going to be and how it has changed over time, and then compares it versus our tuition rate. So you can see that the Pell Award has increased pretty dramatically the last couple of years, and is growing about $500, or it's growing at $500 for the next year. A $3 tuition increase for a student taking 30 credit hours would be $90. So it'd be $90 additional now, and that is beyond a full-time load. 24 hours is what is technically considered a full-time load for federal purposes. We have some charts that show what the proposed rates would be and what different alternatives could be. So we have what the $1 tuition increase would be, what a $3 credit hour increase would be, what a $5 credit hour increase would be. Again, as we talked about with the board, every dollar of additional tuition increase will result in additional revenues of about $350,000 for the college. So it's relatively small dollars because there's so many credit hours being taken. It does have an impact on our overall budget picture. And then there's just additional information. And so I'll ask if the board has any additional questions that I can help answer and conclude my conversation there.
Yes, go ahead, Maria. You're on mute still.
Okay.
There you go.
Finally. Okay. So, Dr. B, I had asked at the study session whether money could be moved from some of our projects to help pay for the compensation, at least for a year or two, for the faculty. And so can you please restate what your remarks were on that?
Yeah, absolutely. So when we're talking about the budget, the operational side of the budget, the college is committed to, and there's actually a board policy that speaks to this a little bit, that the idea is that you're balancing your ongoing revenues with your ongoing expenses. So your regular revenues, your regular expenses. Talking about it in sort of a personal analogy, it would be the salary that you take home versus the utilities and the food expenses that you have normally. And then what you're doing is you're also taking some money and setting it aside and having reserve balances that you then are funding your one-time expenses. Things like repairing a roof or doing an addition to your house or something like that. You accumulate funds over time. That's essentially what the college does. So we create a sustainable operational budget so that our expected ongoing revenues are offsetting our expected ongoing expenses. Why that's important is because if you take your reserve balances, your savings essentially, and you use it to fund ongoing expenses, that at a point in time in the future, you're going to have a big problem because you have a structural imbalance in your budget. And what it could do is we would end up potentially putting more money into salaries, and it would force the issue that we don't have the revenues to support it in the future, and it might lead to layoffs. So we don't want to do that. We want to sort of stay within our means, our expected ongoing means on an annual basis. So that's the answer.
Okay, so the other part, though, I understand that part, but there's nothing to say that in the following year we couldn't add the revenues, or we could increase tuition, or we could increase the property taxes. All we would be doing is delaying it.
Right, you could do that. You create a budget deficit by doing that. That is not a great practice in terms of sustainable budget, and you create a problem in the future. And then you get into the issue that when are you going to deal with it in the future? But yes, I mean, you can do it.
Okay, thank you.
Just a quick point of order, Chair. I didn't want to interrupt Maria because I think she was asking some big questions, but do we have to have a motion on the floor? I think we kind of skipped right to discussion.
Sorry.
No, you're good. I just want to make sure we circle back around.
Okay.
I bet you're right. I was just sort of thinking this was like a presentation where but you're right. Is there a motion? Does someone want to make a motion?
A motion to table it? I don't know.
Well, we need to decide. We should decide this meeting whether we raise tuition $1, $2, $3, or whether we keep it the same, because there are, printing schedules and it needs to go out so students know what their classes are going to cost them for next semester. So we really should do it this meeting if we can. But it's our choice, right? That's one of the.
So, Madam Chair?
Yes.
Can I make a suggestion? I think just follow the order. So if there's a motion to table it, then I think we just have to see if there's a second. If there isn't, then you can go on to the next motion.
Well, I don't know if Maria really made that or if she was just.
Okay.
I will make the motion to table it.
Okay, is there a second to table this?
Second.
Okay. Any discussion now?
Yes, I would propose that. I mean, I find it very difficult at this point in time with the economy and everything else that's going on with our high inflation to increase tuition, even if it's $90. That does not include all the fees. And the other part is that I respectfully understand that the adjunct need to have their increase as well. So being that we're not at this point in time, I guess it's not advisable to take funds from a different project, then I would propose a $1 increase in tuition, not $3.
Okay, so let me just say that your motion, Maria, was to table it, meaning that we wouldn't even vote on it this meeting. Okay. So if you want to withdraw your motion and then make a motion to say a $1 increase,
okay,
we can do that.
I'll do that.
Okay,
so
and then
I'll withdraw my motion, and I would propose a $1 increase in tuition.
Is there a second on a $1 increase?
Second on the $1 increase.
Okay, discussion on this motion to raise tuition for next school year, 23-24, $1 per credit hour. Any discussion?
I just don't think that the students can afford it. And even if they got a $500 increase, I mean, utilities have gotten out of this world. Every time you go to the store, every item is about $1 more. I mean, you guys need to think about all that.
Any other comments?
Yeah, I mean, go ahead, Luis.
I mentioned this before. I know that the last time that the subject came up and the Pell Grant increase was shared at our meeting. But right now, I know unless we have the data and the proof, there's a lot of unmet needs for our students, for all students. And one of the things that's not happening, they're not applying for the Pell Grant either. That came out in one of the meetings. So they're in the deficit, aside from the insecurities that they have in reference to transportation, from housing to food insecurities as well. And $3 is a lot. I didn't see a $2 increase, but I saw the $1. But even $1 may be a lot. But one of the things that we need to look at, really focus on, zone in reference to, as mentioned before, they're going to get a big Pell raise. But where is the data that all of our students are going to get that Pell raise? I don't think we have it, to be honest with you. And that came in one of the meetings that they are not applying for the Pell Grant.
Okay.
But right now it's a difficult time. It's very difficult, and I just see the perspective of the students, but more important, the struggles that they're still going on, because they have a big unmet need, and I don't think we have ever, even through Pima or individually when they apply for the Pell Grant. The Pell Grant is partial. It does not meet the full need. It never has.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Gonzalez. And Greg?
Yeah, I just want to say, I'm sympathetic to what, both Maria and Luis have shared, and I agree with you. It's, I think unfortunately we sort of find ourselves in a situation where, inflation affects the college too, right? And it affects all of our staff, and all the faculty and the adjunct faculty. And so, one of the things that we were presented before is we have this gap that we need to figure out how to fill. And, one of the things that none of us have any control over is the state legislature. And unfortunately, we're being short shrifted by them and have been for years on dollars that might be able to make that whole. So the only things we have, the only levers we have to move are student tuition and property taxes. I don't know that it's any more fair for us to, if we don't do the increase that's requested, the $3, to then, I assume the only other solution we have at that point, given what we just said, is to increase property taxes even more once we get to that, to be able to make up the difference. I'm not sure that's a more fair way to go, because that impacts not only people who own property, people who rent property, all of that. So this whole thing is frustrating to me because I don't think that there's like a really good solution here. and I'm also frustrated by, and the chancellor and I've talked about this, and is that I think we're doing this in a strange order, like just from like a logic standpoint, that we should be, and part of this is just timing. Like, we went through a lot of board orientation, all of those things. We didn't get a chance to really talk about the future of the college, what sort of infrastructure we really need for that future, and then try to align the budget to that strategy. But there's some timing here that in order for the college to be able to, open classes with the tuition rate and not have to, do it, that we have to make those decisions tonight. And so I say all that just to say, like, I sort of reluctantly support the $3 increase, even though I know it's a lot for some people. And we heard about, Pell and stuff can offset it, but at least I think your point's well taken that doesn't help everybody. Because I don't know that we have a lot of good options here, but it's my hope and my expectation in the future that, maybe we can, for next year, before we do this, be having those larger strategy conversations where we can really talk about, what college infrastructure makes sense and what doesn't, to support the future, so that we're not always talking. This seems like we're talking a lot about revenue and not as much about expenses. But I also feel like I'm kind of painted into a corner because I don't want, the college has to meet its obligations to, faculty and staff and everybody else. And I don't know another way to do it.
I just want to add one more thing. In the years that I've been, as a board member, and when I look at some of the expenses that we do, that the college has incurred or is paying for, I don't feel, or the information that I have received doesn't appear to be that they're doing a very good job of handling their expenses. Then the other part of it that I want to state is, I see a lot of construction going on around town. That's a lot of new homes coming on board. I don't know what the average, increase in housing is, but that's all new tax revenue. So anyway, I just wanted to say that.
No, it's a good point, and maybe David can chime in, but I feel like when we were talking before, Dave, didn't you present some, like, just sort of what like the natural growth numbers were, and that in and of itself wasn't going to get us to where we needed to go? I'm trying to remember what it was that.
Yeah, in the study session, we talked about the growth number was around 1.8 million. That's a real number that is tangible, right? And so we've already folded that in before this conversation. We assume the growth in new property, additional growth that happens henceforth will help us in future years. But we know what the additional revenue is already. It's about 1.8.
So Dave, you've already included that revenue for the new property taxes?
Yes.
And so the deficit is only the $3 per credit hour? And that doesn't guarantee the revenue either, because you don't know how many students you're going to have. You're projecting, right?
We're projecting revenue. The expenses and revenues are assuming that enrollment is flat. If enrollment grows, the college gains a little bit of revenue, but not much, because as enrollment grows, we add adjunct faculty expenses, and it's a marginal return that's slightly to the positive. So what we do is we budget for potential growth. But if it grows a lot, if it grows a lot, the college will have additional revenue. If it grows a little bit, it offsets, and it's not that big of a change. Tuition increases have the effect of adding real revenue to the college. In terms of the chart that I have up here so this is assuming that if you did a 2% tax levy increase and a $3 tuition increase, all other things being equal in terms of the budget. So this is assuming that the expenses are tied to regular faculty and staff will get another year of experience in terms of their compensation. So that is an additional cost. We will add in contractual obligations that we have. Those are mostly system license type IT expenses. That when you do that $3 of additional tuition revenue and the $2 of tax levy increase, which we have to go through the process. The board has to approve doing that. We have to go through that process. But I'm just saying, if folding that in would give us additional compensation pool of about $2.6 million that we could then decide how to allocate out in coming months. So that's not a lot. That's a little more than 2%. So that's a year of experience for people, and then a relatively small increase for other people. Or again, you have to think about how to allocate that out. Adjunct faculty compensation would be included in that as well. So it doesn't generate a lot of additional revenue. It generates.
David, if I'm reading this right, just so if we were to do $3 and we were to do 2%, we're still at a gap, right? And then
it's a small gap, yeah. It's a gap that through doing some moderate little changes, it will be fine.
Okay, well, I would like the board's commitment that within the next 7 months, that we're going to be looking at all the expenses that we're doing, that are being given, that we're using now, and that we be responsible in addressing those issues.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think Lee had mentioned in the study session that maybe we could kind of kick off some of that future planning process, but in a retreat in May. And then by the time we're at this time next year, hopefully we have a really good idea of what, the future of the college would look like. And then what infrastructure do we need for that? So what infrastructure do we not need, or what kinds of things are we spending money that we wouldn't? So I agree with you, Maria. I would hope we could address all that in that process.
Okay. All right.
So, Maria, are you saying, all right, that you want to still move forward with the $1 increase proposal, or are we gonna?
Well, Chair, the thing is that we're still going to be in a deficit. Right. If we do worse, if it was $1.
Right.
So I reluctantly will accept what's being proposed, and I mean extremely reluctant.
Okay, so you're withdrawing your motion, and then are you going to make another motion for a $3?
Yes.
Tuition increase?
Yes.
Okay.
$3 increase.
And Luis?
I don't know if he's there. Luis, are you there?
I'm here. What are you asking, Ms. Chair?
So Maria has withdrawn her original motion for the $1 increase, and she's reluctantly saying that she understands that whether we do a tuition increase or not, we're going to be at a deficit. It'll be a larger deficit if we don't do the tuition increase. And so she's moved to do the proposed $3 tuition increase. And I'm wondering if you're willing to second that, or if you would like someone else to.
Let someone else do it.
Okay.
I'll second it.
Okay. So is there any discussion that we haven't already talked about? Dr. McLean, are you interested in piping in?
He's at the game.
No, I'm here. I'm here. I'd just like to remind everybody that's listening in on this that the legislature in the state of Arizona has withdrawn their support for this community college. And they did that several years ago. They have put the burden of educating our students on the student, the parents, and this community. In order for us to maintain the excellence, that excellent education that we provide our students and this community, including the business sector, we're going to have to do something. So with the understanding that we also have to deal with inflationary issues, our employees have to deal with inflationary issues, I think begrudgingly, this is what we have to do at this point in time. And I will commit, Maria, to you that I'll join you in looking at expenditures and cutting out of the budget what we can cut. And maybe the first thing we do is we look at how much we spend on ourselves and the travel that we do and set an example for the rest of the college. So with that, I'm in support of Maria's motion.
All right. Any other discussion? I'd just like to say one small itty bitty thing to tag on to Dr. McLean's comment. It is in our state constitution that these two, our community colleges in Southern Arizona and throughout the whole state are supposed to be as nearly free as possible. So the state legislature has definitely given up following the Constitution, at least in that aspect, by not funding more fairly Pima Community College and Maricopa Community College. Okay, having said that, I'll call for a vote. All in favor of a $3 increase, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Opposed.
Okay, the motion to raise tuition $3 per unit for the following 23-24 school year passes 4-1. Thank you. And then moving on, our next item is the contract for help.
Madam Chair, do we need to take action on fees?
No.
I think that was actually in something that we had done our first board meeting, or my brain's a little fuzzy from being stuck at home, but I think we've already either discussed that or it was something that was already approved by us.
Thank you.
Fees are staying the same, but it's in that agenda item that's there that there's no increase in the fees.
Okay. Okay. So we're moving on to section 5.2, the Kelly Services contract. This is for Kelly Services to manage the payroll for our out-of-state employees.
I'll move to approve the Kelly Services contract.
Second.
Any discussion? Maria, go ahead.
I think that we should hire somebody from, have somebody from our own college. I mean, we have to hire outside people, but we don't have to hire somebody to manage it. I'm done.
Okay, thank you. Maria, any other discussion? Go ahead, Mr. Gonzalez.
Along the lines of what Maria just mentioned, I think we really need to review and reevaluate reference to all of our outsourcing as well too. Maybe that could be part of the discussion in reference to being more cost efficient, cost effective in reference to the monies in reference to what is being generated by the community, the stakeholders. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? I would like to ask for the same kind of support that Maria asked for the last one. I'll be willing to vote for this time, but I would like to look into this. If the college is going to get larger, we're going to have a larger online teaching population. There's a good chance that we're going to have more and more faculty and staff that are not necessarily residents of Arizona. And when and if that happens, I just think it'd be much better to spend money to hire a specialist. That's what we've done with all of the important positions at the college. We need to pay people to do the work here so we can get the benefits in the community, not sending money to some other organization, wherever Kelly Service is even located. So having said that, I'm going to call for a vote. All in favor of accepting the contract for Kelly Services, say aye.
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 No.
So Maria's the opposed. Greg, did you say aye?
I did, yes.
Okay, I'm sorry, I didn't hear it. Okay, so the motion passes 4-1 for Kelly Services to do payroll for out-of-state employees. And moving on to the third item, the Gordley Group from their presentation earlier this evening.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I move that we accept the Chancellor's recommendation and on the contract for the Gordley Group.
Second.
Any discussion?
Yeah, just briefly. I mean, I had a chance to, as I'm one of our designees on that enrollment and marketing committee, I had a chance to hear the full version of that presentation. And admittedly, I was in bed with the stomach flu, but it was a nice distraction from my body aches and everything else. But it really was very impressive. The depth to which they're providing expertise and how comprehensive that they're looking at everything, and the breadth and depth of the different marketing tools that they're putting into play. I was really impressed. And I did ask a question in advance of the meeting around why we were extending and not doing another RFP. And I think, Phil answered that earlier, where there is an RFP coming up. This is just sort of a continuation of what's going on. And I also want to emphasize too, another question I asked, which I was happy with the response, is, the development of a CRM tool for the college is going to be critical, because that's what allows you to actually track, when someone clicks on your ad and then goes to your site, and then do they actually enroll, so that you can really have a true ROI measurement of all these different things. And that's coming in the near future. So I was excited to hear that. So when we do look at these contracts at future times after that RFP, we can really measure the effectiveness of these different marketing tactics. But I very much appreciate all of Gordley's work and Phil's work as well. I was impressed by what I heard in the committee.
Well, thanks, Greg, for sharing that. Maria?
When is that new system going to come on board?
I can answer that. Right now, it's being designed with input from the student recruiters from the workforce area and from the high school recruitment team. We're hoping to have it online and ready to go by late spring. So we'll start to use it for fall enrollment, at least starting to get some baseline numbers, but it will hopefully be in full operation by the spring semester.
All right.
So this first year we'll be getting those baseline numbers, and then we can really get to what Greg was talking about. Let's compare and be able to make correlations to marketing campaigns, to not only inquiries, but inquiries through to enrollment and registration.
Well, I got to say, the one thing that I did like is the fact that we're not really spending the money until we use the services. So what I'm expecting then is that once we're able to measure, who's actually enrolling, we can stop the advertisement for those things that don't really benefit us. So that's it. Thank you.
Mr. Gonzalez?
Elaborate in reference to how many years or has Pima Community College been this is it's an ongoing contract, correct?
Yes, it is.
How many years have we been, has Pima been working with the Gorley Group already?
Phil, would you like?
Yeah, Jan might be able to ask that.
So we have been through very rigorous RFP processes 3 times over the past 15 years. So our history with the college does go back 15 years, but we have gone through 3 separate RFP and proposal review processes. During those times, we do feel that our years of service to the college provides us to extend some real efficiencies, particularly while things and systems are changing, knowing all the changes and the challenges and the nuances, and having a great working relationship with the college's marketing department and their folks who do so much working in collaboration with us. So we're constantly looking to lower the percentage of our services. It was higher when we started because we did go through, some learning process with that. But we do have a number of years and feel very privileged to have been able to work with and support the college over 15 years.
I have 2 more questions. On the presentation, in the 15 years that we've been working with Pima College, there was no enrollment numbers shared, correct?
Not in this particular presentation, but we have presented to the board on previous occasions, looking at enrollment numbers and particularly in comparison to budget over those 15 years. And there is a correlation. The college has strategically made a move from very, I wouldn't say very, focused or limited, very limited marketing right before enrollment for fall, right before enrollment for spring. We found that was not as effective and not the best practices across higher education. The college now markets throughout the year. It does focus on those enrollment. Our services focuses on enrollment for the 3 semesters. And we also found that approach of the last month or 2 right before enrollment did not yield the enrollment and type of student that the community benefits from and the college benefits from. Does that answer your question?
Yes and no. The last question that I have, and share with the public, because right now we haven't said it yet. I saw the numbers of what is the cost is going to be for the college, because it's not for the college. We need to share this information with our stakeholders, the students in the community. What is the cost? It's a 3-year contract, correct?
Yes.
And what is the cost?
So
Let the community know.
I will toss this to Phil, but
Sure.
The budget that you're voting on provides a cap or not to exceed. It's then up to the college to decide exactly what and how and what most benefits the college for us to provide services and what media to buy. Phil, does that sound correct?
Yeah, that's exactly right. It's a cap. That doesn't mean we get the cap. We have a budget that we have to get approved by the college, by Dave B, by the chancellor, and by the ELT, just like every other department. What it does is it allows us to spend the same amount of money, but if we see opportunities or an opportunity to go after a target market or new initiatives, then it's up to my area to find that money in our budget, make adjustments, and be able to fund that. But we don't want to run into a board cap on what we're allowed to spend with Gordley.
Okay. Again, share with the community and the stakeholders the amount, the number that we're talking about?
So currently it's a $4.5 million contract that we're voting on. And remember, this buys the print media and the air media and the television media. So it's doing more than that. Dollar amount is doing the wraparound things on the buses, all of that, the graphic design. So you're exactly right, Luis. It's a significant amount of money. But I think that the fact that it's going to be tied to this, knowing if students get the media, if they, click and if they register and if they enroll, I think that this would be a good way for the college to continue moving down this path. And, as this year and next year goes on, if we realize that there are, things that aren't working, Gordley has said that they're not going to use the money in ways that isn't producing those results of getting students to click and become enrolled.
Correct. Just one last note or a comment that I want to make. It is a lot of money, but I saw the presentation. I like what I saw. One of the questions that was asked in reference to who decides on the context, and we need to look at that as well too. But more important, and I say it's nothing new that I haven't said before, and I will continue to say, Pima Community College is a community college here in Tucson. I think one of the things that we need to really emphasize and really be more successful in reference to addressing a lot of the membership or the community here as well too. And the last thing I just want to share, as I mentioned before, Pima Community College, it's Pima within the county. And that's the only community college that we have in Pima Community College, aside from the other ones that are not locally. But that's what I would just wanted to share again. Thank you.
If I could just jump in on that and just react to Member Gonzalez. So as far as creating the content, I just need to give a shout out to my marketing team, Paul Schwalbach, and our marketing coordinators, Jamila, Annie, and Dinah, who go out and find these student success stories that become the basis for a lot of our advertising. So they really do a great job, and Gordley gets their stories out there into the right hands, into the right computers, into the right smartphones.
And like I mentioned, I did like what I saw and what was presented, and it looked good, especially with the Hispanic component that I was looking at, reference to what you have done already. Thank you.
And I just would like to make one final comment about, I don't think we should give up on those high school students that aren't graduating and doing all of that, right? I think that, maybe someone could figure out an amazing media campaign to get them to buckle down and finish up their high school so they can do something amazing at the community college. Maybe they don't realize yet that the opportunities that are just beyond the next threshold if they just take that next couple of leaps. So I would always like to not ever give up on any of our young students, because each one is worth reaching and pulling into our fold of the amazing things we offer at the college. Okay, so having said that, if there is no other discussion, we'll call for a vote. All in favor of accepting the contract for Gordley Group for the years 23 through 26 for advertising, please say yes.
Yes.
Aye.
Yes, aye.
Okay, motion passes 5-0.
I said, I didn't say anything yet. I said no.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought I heard 4 other yeses. Luis?
Okay, Luis.
Okay. I said no.
Okay, I'm sorry. Then the motion passes 4-1. Okay, sorry about that. My hearing is going bad.
So Madam Chair, I just want to clarify something. we're not going to abandon the 18 to 24-year-old market. I think Phil meant to say that we have to weigh that market against all the other opportunities and just balance that out.
Oh, of course. I'm just saying,
yes.
I mean, you never give up.
Your point is well made. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, moving on. Number 6, requests for future agenda items. Board members, is there anything that you want to put on the next agenda or two? I'm going to.
Yes, I do.
Okay. Thank you, Luis.
For my next request for the future agenda, I really want to have the properties that we have, and the board needs to revisit and reevaluate that, especially the properties around the downtown community campus. Because one of the things that we have 3 new members, I think that's we need to look at the costs involved in the renovation or demolition, which options are more economically and efficient and feasible, and what is best for the students and the community. Alongside with that, I really would like to see, because it's right there, on the neon signs, the maintenance and operation, the costs now and in the future. And one other question is, what is the educational benefits in maintaining those neon signs? And any and all contracts and agreements that exist for the board for review of these items that I mentioned on the properties and the neon sign.
Okay. Thank you, Luis. I do believe that one of our study sessions coming up in the next 3 or 4 months will include the information that has been garnered for the last year with the 2 men that have been working on the architecture and the planning of that. And we're going to hear more about that in one of our study sessions coming up. So thank you. I agree with you. Any other board members?
Okay. Can you hear me?
Maria?
Okay.
Yes, I can.
Okay. So I would like to add to the agenda the review for VP 105, the delegation of authority to the chancellor. Okay, the last time, and also VP 1.10. Okay, the last time those items were they're scheduled to be reviewed every 3 years. The last time they were looked at or updated was in 2018. So I think that the new board members need to look, I would propose that we need to relook at those and see if we still agree with what they say.
Okay, Maria, and I'm going to also add board policy 1.25. And also, I was looking, it was revised in 2018, but board policy 105, I have the last revision date was 2017. So that's going on 6 years. So I agree with you on that one.
Okay, I did see that. I just read it. I guess I was reading off the last one.
Well, I could have been wrong too, but I think that it's important for us to keep our board policies up to date. So, maybe we'll have to call a special meeting for the board members to discuss these, since our coming up general board meetings are already pretty full.
Teresa, the one thing I would like to, I'm sorry, board chair, chairwoman, sorry for the disrespect. But
none taken, thank you.
Okay. Anyway, what I like to see happen is that we should be able to review these within the next 2 or 3 months. And the reason I'm setting a time limit is because it is apparent that many times when I make suggestions, not that, you're the culprit, but that it doesn't get addressed. So if we could please follow up on that.
Okay, thank you. Any other additions to future agenda items?
I don't know if this is really a future agenda item, but we talked about it earlier, but just to underline it, I certainly hope, Chancellor Lambert had mentioned in our study session that, our retreat in May could sort of kick off that planning for the future process. And so I would very much like for that to happen so that when we're making these kind of votes a year from now, that we have a better view for the whole picture going forward.
Yes, thanks. Thanks, Greg.
Greg, can you explain that? I'm sorry, wait a minute. Can you explain what you're saying? I mean, I know you said something about the retreat and the future, and what our projections are going to be like later on.
Yeah, in that study session, we were talking about really setting a strategy for the future that could then drive the budget as opposed to the budget driving the strategy. So
right.
I'm just emphasizing that I very much would like that to kick off in May at the retreat. And I'm sure it'll be multiple discussions over time, but I would just want to make sure that happens because I think it's really important that we can put that strategy first when we're in this place a year from now and we're not having to make these discussions in reverse.
All right, thank you.
Okay, well, if there are no other comments or additions, I'm going to adjourn this meeting. Thank you all so much for everything you do for the college and my fellow board members. It's once again been a pleasure working with you this month. Let's keep it up and let's do great things for the college.
Right, thank you.
Okay, meeting adjourned.
Okay.